Have you ever, actually stopped and imagined what you would do if you suddenly became a millionaire overnight?
Oh, man. I think everyone has at some point.
Right. I mean, really picture it. You're holding this tiny slip of paper, you look at the numbers on the screen, then you look down at the paper, and your brain just sort of short circuits.
Yeah, because you realize your entire life is it's about to change forever.
Exactly. Would you buy a private island? Would you finally march into your boss's office and just quit that job you hate?
Or, would you just stare at that little piece of paper, absolutely paralyzed by the terrifying thought that someone, maybe even your closest friend, is plotting to steal it from you?
Which is a very real possibility. And that intoxicating, terrifying rush of potential wealth is exactly what we are doing a deep dive into today.
It is.
But really quickly, before we jump in, welcome to the Simplified Summary channel. We are so glad you are here with us. If you enjoy deep dives into fascinating stories like this, please do us a huge favor. And humbly, we ask that you subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, definitely subscribe.
And hit that like button and drop your valuable thoughts in the comments below. It really helps us keep bringing you these in-depth breakdowns.
It absolutely does.
So today's mission. We are taking a microscopic look at a classic, brilliantly satirical story called Lottery. It's by the legendary Indian writer Munshi Premchand, straight from the Mansarovar collection.
Yeah, and it's, on the surface, it's this highly entertaining, almost absurd comedy. You've got this whole community just completely gripped by lottery fever.
Oh, it's total chaos.
It is. But underneath all that humor, Premchand is giving us this really profound, kind of devastating psychological profile of human greed.
Yeah, and the premise is so grounded at first, but it just escalates so quickly. We're dropped into this household where an entire extended family gets swept up in the frenzy of this massive lottery draw.
Right. Everyone is getting involved.
Fathers, uncles, mothers, they're all scrambling to buy their own individual tickets. But our lens for all this chaos focuses on two young men, Vikram and our narrator.
And they are just completely desperate to get a piece of the action.
So desperate. And, we really need to establish the financial reality these two are living in because it makes their whole obsession, well, it makes it make sense.
It's crucial context.
Right. So our narrator, he's a struggling school teacher making a grand total of 20 rupees a month. 20 rupees.
Wow.
And this lottery ticket costs 10 rupees.
Yeah, so to put that in perspective for you, that is exactly 50% of his entire monthly income.
Half his paycheck.
Literally half.
Yeah.
Imagine taking half of your monthly paycheck, the money you desperately need for rent, for food, just for survival, and dropping it on a single mathematically improbable gamble.
It's insane.
For the narrator, this ticket isn't just a purchase. It's a massive, crushing financial burden. He actually refers to it as a white elephant.
A white elephant.
But the allure of the prize, which is 10 lakh rupees, so 1 million rupees, it completely blinds him to the immediate danger of what he's doing.
It's a staggering amount of money for them. And the way Premchand contrasts these two friends through their hypothetical winnings is just, it's brilliant.
Oh, it says so much about who they are.
Because Vikram, the friend, he outright refuses to split the cost of the ticket unless the narrator hands over his 5 rupees in hard cash up front.
Right, no IOUs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'll pay you on Friday. Nothing. And Vikram's plans for this money he doesn't even have yet, mind you, are just wild.
They're so grandiose.
He wants to travel the globe. He's sitting there listing off places like Peru, Brazil, Timbuktu, and Honolulu.
Right, because he wants to write the definitive world travel book.
Yeah. Oh, and he also plans to build this personal library worth 2 lakh rupees. 200,000 rupees on books.
Which, I mean, in that era is an astronomical, almost comical sum for a personal library.
It really is.
But what we're seeing here is how the mere concept of sudden wealth, it acts like a psychological magnifying glass.
Oh, I like that. A magnifying glass.
Yeah, because the money doesn't actually change Vikram. It just amplifies his core insecurities and his ego. His fantasies are entirely about establishing himself as this worldly intellectual, a man of profound cultural importance.
Right. He's already living in this grand imaginary future where people revere him.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you have the narrator sitting right next to him with these incredibly heavy practical dreams.
Yeah, it's such a stark contrast.
If the narrator wins, He doesn't want to go to Timbuktu. He wants to marry off his sisters.
Yeah.
Which, comes with huge cultural and financial expectations.
Huge pressure.
Right. And he wants to educate his younger brothers, maybe build a modest house and put whatever's left in a bank, just so he can survive off the interest.
He literally just wants to stop drowning.
Precisely. It's the perfect illustration of how poverty shapes desire. The narrator's dreams are still totally dictated by his anxieties and his deep-seated sense of familial obligation.
Yeah.
But here is the critical mechanism at play here. The lottery does not care about your motives.
Nope, not at all.
Whether your dreams are ego-driven like Vikram's or survival-driven like the narrator's, the ticket demands the exact same sacrifice.
And the desperation to secure that ticket leads them to make a highly symbolic, just devastating choice.
It really is heartbreaking.
Because Vikram demands cash, they scour their room, and they gather up their old-school textbooks, which, let's be real, are the literal foundation of their education and their current livelihoods.
Their entire intellectual history?
Oh, yeah. And they lug them to a second-hand shop. They sell off their accumulated knowledge for exactly 10 rupees just to buy this single piece of paper.
They are quite literally trading their past intellectual efforts, their grounded reality, for a blind statistical impossibility.
It's so hard to wrap my head around that decision. I mean, it's like taking an axe, chopping up the floorboards of your own house, and throwing them into a furnace just to keep a lottery machine powered up.
That is a great analogy.
You are destroying the actual structural foundation of your life for a completely random spin of a wheel. Why does the human brain do that? Like, why are we so quick to discard practical reality for a gamble?
Well, it really comes down to how poorly the human brain processes probability versus how powerfully it responds to narrative.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So, psychologically, this is tied to something called variable ratio reinforcement. It's the exact same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
The human mind simply cannot comprehend odds like 1 in 10 million. The numbers are just too vast to feel real.
Right, it's just abstract math at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the narrative of sudden wealth, that is incredibly vivid. It is intoxicating. When they buy that ticket, they aren't actually buying a piece of paper.
What are they buying then?
They're buying the neurological permission to dream without limits. The dopamine spike actually comes from the fantasy itself, not from the winning. So for a struggling teacher suffocating on 20 rupees a month, buying a few weeks of unlimited anxiety-free dreaming is, apparently, worth the cost of his floorboards.
So the fantasy is the actual product they are purchasing. That makes so much sense.
It does, doesn't it?
So the ticket is secured, the floorboards are burned, so to speak. But the lottery fever doesn't just stop at corrupting their wallets or their logic. It goes straight after their belief systems.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
The behavioral shifts in the broader household are incredible.
This is really where Premchand's satire elevates from just personal psychology to a much broader cultural critique. We get introduced to the elders of the household.
Right. Vikram's father, Beit Thakur, and his uncle, Chote Thakur.
And we really have to be clear about who these men usually are.
Very clear. They are notoriously atheistic.
Highly materialistic guys.
On any normal Tuesday, these are the guys who would be the first ones to mock religious rituals or spiritual devotion.
Absolutely.
But suddenly, as the draw date of the lottery approaches, a miraculous spiritual awakening happens.
A total transformation.
Beit Thakur is suddenly waking up at the crack of dawn, bathing in the holy Ganges River, and walking around the house wearing sandalwood paste on his forehead.
And his brother, Chote Thakur, who, by the way, suffers from terrible gout and usually avoids moving at all.
Right, usually just sits there.
He is suddenly spending his days out in the blazing sun, diligently feeding flour to ants, and obsessively writing the name of the deity Ram over and over again.
It's hilarious, and it doesn't start with the old men either. There's this completely absurd moment with Vikram's 11-year-old sister, Kunti.
Oh, Kunti.
Now, Kunti is not exactly a scholar. She constantly fails the 6th grade. The young men catch her snooping around their room, and normally they would just yell at her to get out.
Sure.
But because they have this ticket, they pull her aside and actually recruit her. They ask her to pray for their ticket to win.
And their justification for this is just steeped in pure, desperate superstition.
How do they even justify it?
They convince themselves that because Kunti is a young, unmarried girl, her prayers are somehow purer. They honestly believe she has a more direct, uncluttered line to the divine ear, making her prayers foolproof.
It's just wild mental gymnastics.
The narrator even rationalizes this by bringing up an old story about a past village drought, claiming that feeding young girls was what finally brought the torrential rain.
The virgins brought the rain, so clearly Kunti can bring us the 10 lakhs. I mean, listen, I have to call this out. This isn't a spiritual awakening at all.
Not even a little bit.
These people aren't suddenly finding God. They're treating the universe like a corrupt local politician.
Yes. You are looking right at the core of the satire here. It is a brilliant exposure of transactional faith.
Transactional faith. I like that term.
In psychology, there's this concept called the illusion of control. When humans are faced with a situation where logic completely fails them, and logic definitively says they are not going to win this lottery, the resulting anxiety is just intolerable.
Do they have to do something to cope?
Right. To soothe that anxiety, people turn to superstition to regain a false sense of agency. They try to find a steering wheel in a car that doesn't have one.
They are trying to rig a random number generator with ant food and sandalwood paste.
Exactly. Premchand is showing us that for many people, morality and faith are just convenient tools to be deployed when unimaginable wealth is on the line.
Wow.
Beit Thakur and Chote Thakur haven't become holy men. They are just negotiating with the cosmos. They're trying to purchase divine favor using the exact same transactional mindset they use in their everyday business dealings.
Here are your well-fed ants, universe. Now hand over the cash. It's so cynical, but it feels so painfully accurate to human nature.
It really does.
So we've seen the lottery corrupt their logic, and we've seen it corrupt their faith. But the deepest damage happens to their interpersonal bonds.
Oh, the relationships just crumble.
Because as this draw date creeps closer, the atmosphere in the house turns incredibly toxic.
Yeah, the psychological toll of the waiting period acts as a pressure cooker. And it introduces this really powerful new element into the household dynamics, which is paranoia.
Deep, consuming paranoia. So, the ticket that the two friends bought is registered solely in Vikram's name.
Right, big mistake.
Massive mistakes. They didn't do any formal paperwork. There is no written contract between these two best friends. And our narrator just starts losing his mind over this.
He spirals completely.
He starts side-eyeing Vikram, overanalyzing every single sentence the guy says, terrified that if they actually win, Vikram is just going to pocket the entire million rupees and leave him completely empty-handed.
And the tension really peaks when the narrator finally voices this fear. He confronts Vikram.
And how does Vikram handle it?
Well, Vikram brushes it off with a joke. He tells the narrator, "I wouldn't cheat you even for 5 crores.
5 crores?
Yeah, for context, a crore is 10 million rupees. So he's saying he wouldn't cheat him for 50 million rupees.
That's a lot of money.
But then, crucially, Vikram explicitly refuses to actually sign a written agreement.
Oh, of course he does.
He uses the excuse that drafting a legal contract would require massive legal fees and stamp duties that they simply cannot afford.
Which, I mean, is technically true since they just sold their textbooks for 10 rupees, but come on, that does absolutely nothing to calm the narrator down.
No, it makes it worse.
And honestly, I am entirely on the narrator's side here. I don't think his paranoia is irrational at all.
You don't?
No. If my absolute best friend in the world was holding a winning ticket worth 1 million rupees, and the only legal protection I had was him saying, "Trust me, bro," I would not sleep a wink.
See, your reaction proves Premchand's point perfectly. It is a completely rational fear generated by an irrational situation.
Exactly.
But the tragedy here is what this reveals about the fragility of human connection. What does it say about a lifelong friendship that the mere potential of a piece of paper suddenly overrides years of established trust?
It's terrifying.
The money doesn't even exist yet. It is entirely hypothetical. But that phantom wealth has already completely fractured their bond.
It's like a phantom poison in the water supply. And it's not just the two friends turning on each other. The older generation, the uncles, are tearing each other apart over the exact same hypothetical money.
Yeah, the uncles get really vicious.
Beit Thakur and Chote Thakur get into this massive screaming match over who would actually own the winnings.
And this specific argument over ownership is actually one of the most culturally significant moments in the entire text. It dives deep into the economics of the traditional Indian joint family.
Okay, break that down for us, because the stakes of this argument are deeply tied to how that specific family structure operates, right?
Precisely. In a traditional Indian joint family system, you have multiple generations living under one roof. The core principle is collective survival and shared resources.
Okay.
Everyone's income usually goes into a central pool. They share a single kitchen. And the head of the family distributes resources based on need, not necessarily who earned what.
So it's very communally focused.
It's a deeply communal way of living. But the lottery represents the ultimate extreme of modern, hyper-individualistic capitalism. It is inherently about my ticket, my luck, and my winnings.
So these two economic systems are just violently colliding in the living room.
That's exactly what's happening.
The boat Thakur is arguing for the capitalist approach. He insists that because he bought his ticket with his own hands, the winnings are his individual property. He literally says, if I commit a crime, the police take me to jail, not the whole joint family. So if I win the lottery, the money is mine alone.
Which makes sense from an individualist perspective. But Choudhary Thakur is fiercely defending the traditional joint family model.
Right.
He's arguing that any windfall experienced by a member of the household belongs to the collective pool. The brilliance of this scene is how Premchand uses a ridiculous hypothetical argument to illustrate a very real societal shift.
Yeah, the clash of two worlds.
The sudden introduction of extreme, unearned, individualistic wealth acts as an acid, just immediately corroding ancient communal bonds.
The entire family structure is literally being dismantled by 1 million rupees that are currently sitting in a vault somewhere else. It's wild.
It's a house of cards.
And the tension just keeps ratcheting up tighter and tighter until we reach what has to be the most absurd, darkly hilarious climax of the story. Enter Prakash and Shakat Baba.
Well, Shakat Baba is Premchand's masterstroke of comedic escalation.
Definitely.
As we get closer to the actual draw date of July 20th, the veneer of rationality completely evaporates from the community.
Okay, let me set the scene for everyone. There's this character named Prakash. And Prakash decides he needs a supernatural edge for the lottery, so he goes to visit this notorious local ascetic, this crazy holy man named Shakat Baba.
Right.
Prakash goes to get a blessing for his ticket. And Shakat Baba's version of a blessing is picking up a literal rock and hurling it directly at Prakash's head.
And it's not a symbolic gesture either.
No.
The rock strikes him with immense force. It fractures his skull, and Prakash is left bleeding profusely.
He is bleeding everywhere. But this is the craziest part. Prakash doesn't run to a doctor. He doesn't go to the police to report an assault. He doesn't even get angry.
He's thrilled.
He views this extreme physical violence as an absolute, ironclad, divine guarantee that he is going to win the lottery. He sits there with a cracked skull, blood pouring down his face, and says, Shakat Baba's aim never fails. The bleeding means I've won.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
He immediately starts planning to build a luxurious cottage for the Baba using his impending millions.
Wait, let's look at the mechanism of what is actually happening in Prakash's brain right there.
Yeah.
This is a terrifyingly pure example of the sunk cost fallacy colliding with cognitive dissonance.
How does a rational adult's brain make the leap from, I just got assaulted with a rock, to, I am definitely a millionaire?
Because the alternative is just too painful to process. Prakash has invested so much emotional energy into winning, and now he has literally suffered severe physical trauma for it.
Right.
His brain cannot accept that he just got hit in the head with a rock for absolutely no reason by a random man.
That would mean he suffered for nothing.
Exactly. To resolve that intense psychological discomfort, the cognitive dissonance, his brain creates a narrative where the suffering has profound, guaranteed meaning. If he suffers, it must be part of a divine transaction.
It is the physical manifestation of what they are all doing internally.
Yes.
It's like breaking your own leg just to convince yourself you are guaranteed to win a marathon. Prakash's fractured skull is just the outward, visible symbol of the internal fracturing happening to the narrator's friendship and the uncle's family bonds.
They are all destroying themselves for delusion.
And then reality finally arrives. July 20th, the day of the draw.
Day of reckoning.
The tension in the house is described as palpable. You could cut it with a knife. Nobody is speaking. Everyone is standing around at attention like soldiers waiting for a final command.
They are bracing for the moment their entire existence shifts.
And then Prakash, our guy who still has a broken, bandaged head, comes running back from the post office with the news. The official winner has been announced.
Drum roll, please.
And who won the 1 million rupees? An American.
Yep.
A completely random person living on the exact opposite side of the globe has won the lottery.
And the deflation in that moment is absolute and instantaneous.
The entire town of hopefuls is utterly crushed. Think about everything we just went through. The destroyed textbooks, the desperate ant feeding, the ruined friendships, the shattered family dynamics, the fractured skulls.
All of it.
All of it for absolutely nothing. An American won?
This is the ultimate anti-climax, and it serves a very specific thematic purpose.
Yeah.
Throughout the story, The characters have been operating under what we could call a severe delusion of scale.
Delusion of scale. Walk me through that.
Every single character believed, deeply and arrogantly, that they were the main character of the universe.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They thought that their specific local prayers, their tiny bribes of sandalwood paste, their individual desires to build a library or marry off a sister, actually mattered in the grand mathematical scheme of a global lottery.
They thought God was micromanaging the lottery machine just for them.
Exactly. Hearing that a random person across the world won completely bursts that bubble of self-importance. It is a harsh reminder of their true size in the world.
It is a sobering slap of reality. The universe does not care about your ant food. It doesn't care about your textbooks.
Exactly. And the narrator's final reaction is the perfect conclusion. Instead of weeping or flying into a rage, he stands there, looks at the thousands of disappointed people walking back from the post office with long faces, and he just starts laughing.
It's a laugh of pure, unadulterated absurdity. He suddenly sees the absolute foolishness of their behavior.
The spell is broken.
It's as if they were all standing in the middle of a global rainstorm, heads tilted back, mouths open, fully expecting one single specific tiny drop of water to fall perfectly onto their tongues.
That is exactly it. The laughter is the sound of the psychological spell breaking. The illusion of control is gone.
Yeah.
They are instantly snapped back to their reality. They are still struggling teachers. They are still atheistic uncles with gout. They are just ordinary people. The money was always a mirage.
A total mirage.
But the greed, the paranoia, and the betrayals that the mirage exposed, those were completely real. And now they have to live with the aftermath.
Man. So as we pull all of this together, what does Premchand's lottery leave us with? It is clearly not just a story about losing a gamble.
Not at all.
It's a satirical mirror held right up to our faces. It shows us how the mere fantasy of wealth, not even the money itself, just the daydream of it, can turn staunch atheists into religious zealots, best friends into deeply suspicious enemies, and rational adults into fools willing to take a rock to the head.
It reminds us that our virtues, our morals, and our trusted relationships are often much more fragile than we care to admit.
That's a scary thought.
It is. We like to think our character is rock solid. But this story suggests that the stability of our morals is heavily dependent on the stability of our circumstances. You introduce the sudden chaotic potential of unearned wealth, and the true underlying foundation of our character is immediately laid bare.
It leaves you with a final, lingering question to ponder as you go about your day. If you walked into a convenience store this afternoon and bought a lottery ticket, would the agonizing anticipation, the sudden creeping distrust of everyone around you, and the toxic obsession with what if actually be worth the thrill of the gamble?
You really have to ask yourself, what foundational pieces of your own life are you willing to burn just to keep the dream alive?
What is the real price of a lottery ticket on your peace of mind? Think about that the next time you picture the jagged white line of a broken bone, or the clean, simple reality of your normal life versus the murky, paranoid waters of lottery fever.
It's definitely something to chew on.
Well, we want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, if you found value in this conversation, please hit subscribe on the Simplified Summary channel, drop a like, and share your thoughts down in the comments. As always, keep reading, keep examining the world around you, and keep questioning the narratives you are sold. Until next time.